All right, guys, so this week's video, I'm actually at R&R Sporting Goods, which is here along the lakefront, along Lake Michigan. Can I just grab that 9-foot medium that you just showed me? So this video is going to be about skein fishing for kings. Skein fishing is going to be with float rods, bobbers, and I'm here at a local bait shop. There's not a lot of places that offer these style rods, but this is one of the shops, local shops in town near Milwaukee. I'm also going to show you guys how to cure eggs, which is so critically important, because if you want to come out here and learn how to do this from shore, in a kayak, in a boat, you're going to want to learn how to cure the eggs. So what Anthony and I, my man is running the camera behind here, is we're going to go out, we're going to grab some cures, we're going to go out, we're going to catch some kings, we're going to show you how to bleed the fish out, how to cure the eggs, and then how to use them again. The whole process. Catch a fish, bleed the fish out, cure the eggs. It's actually a 3-4 day process for me to cure the eggs. So this video will be like 4 days from now when we complete it. So, all right, catch fish. Here we go. First thing you're gonna need is a slip float. You can go with an expensive, a high-end one, a slip float, or you can go with one of the cheaper ones down here. And believe me, these work just as good. I've got 15 to 20 pound braid on my rods. I'm picking up a couple rods here. And then if you're gonna have a reel, you're gonna wanna have a 3000 or 3500 series reel or bigger, spooled up with, I would suggest, like 20 pound braid, 14 or 16 pound FC Sniper fluorocarbon leader. And in Gamakatsu, Octopus number 2 or a 4 or 1, whatever you prefer, the Octopus Gamakatsu hooks. We'll see if they have those here, but supplies are getting tough, guys. You know, in the fishing industry right now, there's a lot of shortage. So if you can get some stuff, grab it while you can. All right, guys, so here's the deal. If you come to the bait shop, I promise you, I mean, as much as there's a lot of good stuff to buy here, there's plenty of stuff here that just doesn't work so good. Do not buy this style of skein. I'm not saying it wouldn't ever catch a fish, but you'd be better off buying. They sell skein here at the bait shop. You guys have skein? Yep. Yeah, so they do sell it here. You can buy it as well. So it's like rainy, misty. We're not trying to catch a bunch of fish. Just trying to catch one big mama so we can show you the whole process. It's taken me many years to show you guys this recipe, which I'm about to show you. So I hope for those of you guys that are going to get into this and go out and catch some fish, you appreciate the time it takes for us to put this video together, teach you how to skein fish. Okay, so the most important thing this time of year you're coming out here is utilize your electronics. If you're not marking fish on your sonar, you're not seeing them jump around you, I just drive around and look with the live scope. And I kind of scan around the whole harbor, and I look for the biggest pod of fish, and then I set up. And understand though that these pods of fish move throughout the day. So that's what we're gonna do. It's really windy today, so I don't know how the audio is gonna be, so bear with us, guys. But I'm gonna show you how to catch big kings on skein. First things first, you gotta find a big pod, then hit spot lock. And remember, if you're gonna come do this in these harbors, if there's a trolling boat that comes through, you must yield, get out of the way if you're fishing here. If there's a sailboat coming through, you have to get out of the way. You cannot block or impede traffic in any of these channels. You can fish here, but the minute boats come through, you have to move. So many guys are just sitting here on spot lock and making the boats go around. When you see the boat come in, get out of the way. Same thing. If there's a troller coming by, let them troll by you and then go back to fishing. Just so you know, that's a tip if you're gonna come out here, because you can't anchor in these channels. You can hit spot lock or move around on your trolling motor, but it does get busy on the weekends a lot of times. So just make sure you know the rules of the road. I've got a couple of loaves of skein. This is the finished product right here. Skein, right here. Big loaf of skein. I'm gonna cut a nice little section off. Then I'm gonna take a nice little section right here in the middle. I got a couple different recipes. So I'm just gonna show you my main recipe. How's it going? That guy's from Illinois. He follows me all over the place. So his name's Illinois Joe, for the record, if anybody knows Illinois Joe. He waves a lot. Yep. See, he waves a lot. So just wave back to Illinois Joe. Really good guy. All right, guys, so this is my down rod or bottom rod or dead stick rod, whatever you want to call it. A very, I call it bonus fish. When these fish are down near the bottom, I have a weight. I have a 3-way rig, about a 1 ounce weight, and maybe a 2 to 4 foot leader. I'm gonna just put on a little chunk of eggs, and let me tell you, this stuff gets messy, it gets nasty, it stains your carpeting. Skein fishing, it's dirty, it's nasty, but man, it's good. It works great. So here, this fish are down at the bottom. I'm gonna let my bait go all the way down to the bottom. It's gonna go all the way down to the bottom. There's bottom, I hit bottom. I'm gonna just touch bottom, lift up about 2 feet, reel up. I'm just gonna put that rod right in the rod holder, and that is a bonus rod. So when the bonus rod goes, usually you hear the drag, it's just fish on, hang on, all that good stuff. We're gonna hang 2 rods over the side, maybe fish 2 bobbers. It's really rough, it's really wavy out here. We got like big swells coming in, so it's gonna be hard to film the video, but we're gonna try our best.
All right, so we're hooked up on our second fish, and this rod was in the down rod, and it just started doubling over, so I quick grabbed the rod. And
didn't take long.
It's a mama. We're thinking it's a mama. She woke up a little bit. She woke up. It is ripping out here, fellas. It's a little bit windy. Am I right?
Big mama. Big mama. Big mama. That's what we came here for, Tony. Big mama. Come on, big mama. We need a new pair of shoes. Come on, mama. Easy, easy, Tony. Lift, just lift. Oh! Oh! Tony!
Big old
oh! Big mama! Big mama!
That's a big mama.
Tony, you pick up that big mama.
Oh, guys, look at the way she had this. Look at the way she had this thing. It's way down there.
You can't see it.
Can't even see it.
Do they like that skein?
I think they like the
They like that skein, Tony? How you liking that skein fishing?
I'm liking the skein fishing. I've never caught a fish on a down rod. I do a lot of bobber fishing, but never on a down rod. So.
Bonus rod. Fish are all sitting right here on the bottom. See them all, so you just drop a rod right down there off the bottom. All right, now we're going to show everyone, once we get her out, how we bleed this fish out, because this is a really important process coming up here. So we'll get the hook out real quick, and then we're going to show everyone how we bleed it out. How are you always on the ground falling when you are catching a fish? That's a big mama.
There she is. Look at her. She's all loaded up.
All right, so we just caught that fish. Now, I know a lot of you guys think ethically, unethically. I apologize if you don't like this, but I'm going to bleed this fish out. It's important to bleed a lot of your fish out, so if you're a little squeamish, don't look. But it's very important to do that because you do not want any blood in your eggs. I'm going to flip this fish over. And I'm going to dump it right in the live well or the net. That is a very critical part. When you look in the water, you can see all that blood right now pouring out of those gills. You want to bleed that fish out for 2 reasons. If you want to eat the fish, smoke the fish, they're okay. If there's no blood in the meat, that makes it great. Most important, we are using eggs right now. That's what we're using for bait. And you don't want blood in your eggs. So blood is not good in the eggs. You bleed your fish out. It's a good tip if you didn't know it. You ready for another one?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Tony, here we go. All right, guys, so we're just pulling in off of the harbor. Had a pretty good, we came out here for about an hour and a half. I think we caught 4 or 5 kings. Super windy, super rough, but this video this week is about how to catch and cure skein and kings, how to catch kings and cure skein. So we're gonna go to my house right now and show you Tony, Pow, give me some skin. Tony caught that nice big mama, so I'm gonna show you day by day, step by step, each process on how we cure eggs. Here we go. All right, guys, made it back to my house with Tony's big fish, and we're going to show you how to properly remove the eggs and cure the eggs, the whole process. So I have a little knife here, and I kind of cut up towards me. Then I'm going to just reach inside here with gloves. So you always want to have latex gloves when you start this curing process because of chemicals in the cures. And you don't want too much human scent on your eggs, but more because the chemical, it really screws up your skin, dries out your skin a lot. So there's one big loaf. I'm going to take it, put it on paper towel. I'm going to reach up. I reach way up into the cavity, way up to the front here, and I grab tight. I don't know if you can see up in here, the cavity right here at the very end, and I kind of just pull it out tight, and then I just take the membrane, the skein, boom, put it here, and I'm going to take this fish and fillet this fish, but I'm going to put it off to the side real quick, and then I'm going to show you how to cure them, which is the most important thing. All right, so got the big loaf of skein here. You can see there's a little bit of blood in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip it open. You can cut right down the middle if you want, but I just kind of open it up. So I take my thumb and my index finger and I just kind of open it from the bottom. Open it. And you can, like I said, you can cut, you can use a knife, but you break a lot of the eggs when you're using a knife. Here you're just kind of opening it naturally. Spread it wide open so you have this real long loaf of skein. And now it's ready to rock. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And when you got two loaves of skein like this, here's the important thing. A lot of times there's a lot of different recipes you can use. This is just one basic, really, really good recipe for me that is very, very consistent. It is ProCure and Atlas mixed together, and it works awesome. I've got red and I've got pink. Those are my two favorite colors that I use most of the time. I'm going to show you how I add that to them right now. The last thing I'll do, sometimes if they're really wet and what have you, if you get a lot of, it's just to try to get any last blood out of the skein. So it's all this meticulous step-by-step process when you're curing your eggs. You don't want a lot of blood in them. Boom, ready to rock, ready to put the cure on. First thing is just a natural cure, colorless. You can use just plain Atlas cure, probably one of the best you can use. And I'm putting a fairly heavy dose on, you know, like a real heavy salt amount if you want. I'll kind of layer it like that on top initially. And then what I'll do is I'll grab it, put my hand underneath, and I'm just going to kind of move it to get it down in all these little like chambers of the eggs. Do the same thing over here. So a decent amount of that natural cure, and kind of sprinkle it on. So you can do the one, you could use just plain natural, you can use pink, you can use a lot of different cures. A lot of guys have a lot of different recipes, and I'm going to highly suggest that if you catch 2 or 3 females, you make one batch, one recipe, another batch, another recipe, and maybe even a third batch, another recipe, because some days they're just eating orange or red or pink or ProCure or straight borax or your old homemade recipes. So, you know, or Jello and borax works, you know, fantastic. So there's a lot of different recipes, but I'm going to start with just a plain borax, and then I'm going to add my color and some more cured. And this is just like a hot pink. Just going to kind of rub it into the eggs. Just kind of rub it right into the eggs like that. All right, so here we go. Boom, got it, you're done. You're gonna take this, and one last thing if you want, you can add a little bit more cure like this on the back. Take that, throw it in a bag, and within 10 or 15 minutes, what's gonna happen, and we'll show you in about 15-20 minutes what happens, is you seal this up really good. And I have an extra fridge, guys. Tony and I were just talking about this. If you're gonna get into this sloppy style of skein fishing, let me tell you, it's funk nasty. It's got food coloring. It's got dye. It smells like eggs. So let me tell you, for all you guys out there, you just better make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because you're gonna have to sometimes pick the eggs and the curing or my girlfriend. So luckily I got a good girl. She lets me cure here in my house. I'm serious though. It gets stinky, nasty, so I have a separate fridge that I use just for that. I'm gonna put that aside and I'm gonna cure this one up. Okay, so I'm gonna just finish curing this one up the same way, and then we'll go to the next step-by-step process of what we do with these eggs. Okay guys, so you saw how I cured up this big batch about 25 minutes ago. Get away from me, you little mosquito. And look at how they're milking already. You call that milking. That's when the chemicals inside of the cure get into the eggs and they start like leaching out a bunch of juice, which is good because you want that juice to kind of mix around. So what I'll do is I'll kind of mix them around like this, and be careful that that bag doesn't open up because that is dye. So you don't want to be doing this in your living room over your carpeting, you know what I'm saying? So just make sure you do it outside or somewhere if it does open up. So that was the one we just did, okay, today. I'm going to put that in the fridge, and I'm going to leave that in the fridge for anywhere from 2 to 3 days, depending on how well it looks. And that's the one important thing I want to point out. So here's what a bag of eggs looks like after a 2-day cure, okay? I'm going to open it up. It's been soaking for 2 days. So there's a several day process involved in this. So here it's 2 days, and if you look through the eggs, see how there's kind of a discoloration here, orange still and pink here. Well, that orange in the middle has not been fully cured. It's kind of like the natural, so that's going to sit in there 1, maybe two more days. So this may be a 3-day sit bag that I may just let sit for 3 days. And when it's done curing after 2 or 3 days, like these bags are, I'm going to show you what they look like. So this is a completed bag after 3 days. We got mosquitoes flying around here. So here's a completed cured skein after like 3 days. Just going to hold that up like that. You see that? See how they all look the same color? So here's what I'm going to do. After 3 days of curing this, boom. I'm going to take these, I'm going to lay them all out, and then I'm going to put them in a bin. I'm going to wrap them up, basically just like this now. Fold that up in paper towel, wrap it in a bin, just like this in a burrito. Grab my bin right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put layer after layer of skein on top of each other. This is going to go in the fridge overnight for 24 hours. And what will happen is these are now going to air dryer. You're going to get kind of like a gel coating. They're going to firm up really well. If you just put them in the fridge like this, even for maybe 8 hours, you can check on them. You don't want to leave them in there too long because sometimes a paper towel will stick to it. But if you layer them and they're wet and moist when you put them in there, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, when you go and look at them, they'll be nice and firmed up. And I'll show you that tomorrow because we're going to finish this video up tomorrow. I'm going to layer these up. We're going to put them in the fridge and show you how they're completed tomorrow. I am ready. I have been grinding it out, working late nights, doing the YouTube videos with my man Tony, and we are going to finish up today's egg curing video. Remember, we caught the fish, we bled it out, we harvested the eggs out. I showed you how to sprinkle the cure on the eggs, soak them up in a bag, let them sit there for a 2 to 3 day process. The 2 to 3 day process, we took them, we wrapped them, we put them in a bin, and then I put them in the fridge yesterday, and today, 24 hours later, I'm going to take the eggs out of the bin and show you how they have air dried. And this is like basically your completed eggs. You see how they're not wet, they're not dripping. See how I open that up a little bit? Yeah, some eggs are falling out or what have you, but that is skein. It's ready to rock. That's orange colored skein right there. I think I have a pink one here too. Maybe not. But when you just look at the egg, when you air dry them for a day, it just kind of seals them up. It tightens them up a little bit. They're not dripping. And so here's what I do. You air dry them. You pull them out. Step 4. They look beautiful. And I remember, I wrap them in paper towel. Okay, you want the paper towel to be moist too. This was moist when they were air drying, because if it's dry, you'll dry them out too much if you leave them in the fridge. So you kind of got to understand, you don't want them too dry. So the fridge will dry them out. You pull them out, take them off, take a bunch of borax. Basically, you're just sprinkling borax all over the eggs, okay? Just like that. I do one skein at a time. Same thing, like that. Get your bag. Now, one last process. Okay, so we have 2 skeins from the fish. This skein is ready to be used tomorrow. Right now. It's ready. It's going to work. It's basically been a 3-day. See how I add all that borax to it? You're like, wow, a lot of borax. Yeah, buy a lot of borax if we're going to get into this. You can use just straight borax on your eggs as a cure, and that works as well. So this, shake it up. Borax preserves the eggs, so you'll be able to use these a year or 2 years later. If they're ready to be frozen right now, they're ready to be used right now. The one little valuable tip I want to tell you, so if I'm going to go fishing tomorrow, what you can do is you can take these and you can put them in your fridge and use them like that. But if you take these eggs tonight, you put them in your freezer overnight. Tomorrow morning when you get up, you pull them out of your freezer and it unthaws on your way to go fishing or what have you later that morning. That egg characteristic is actually going to change compared to how it is right now. When you freeze an egg, it'll actually change the characteristic. It'll milk more. It'll be a lot more soupy. So I do both. I'll bring a couple bags of frozen in the morning and fresh. So that's a little tip. I hope you enjoyed this week's video on how to catch, how to harvest the eggs, how to cure skein. There's a lot of different recipes too. You can use Jello, you can use a lot of different ways, but this is my go-to recipe. Been doing it for 20 some years, catching tons of fish. Get out there, go catch some big kings from shore. Bring your wife, bring your kids, bring some bobbers, put the meat down, beat down, smack down, crack down on them. Leave me a comment if you catch some fish. What is your biggest salmon you've ever caught? Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe. I gotta get some sleep because I gotta get up in the morning again. But we're cranking out videos every week, guys. Hope you love them. See ya!